today we heard from Colin Kaepernick in an interview setting, a casual interview setting, in a way that we don't typically hear from him. I don't know that we have really heard from him in the last 5-6 years like that. Bottom line is, man, we got 31 cowards owning NFL teams. Because I'm watching that and I'm listening to him have an answer for every moving of the goalpost question that Brandon Marshall did a fantastic job of role playing, because they're just going to find excuses, whether it's, you know, the red herring of the locker room or, you know, the fan base. They're going to just keep finding reasons to not give this man a second opportunity. But I listen to every answer from him and I say to myself, how bad could it really be? And maybe I'm being naive. Maybe that segment of the fan base is really, you know, just, maybe that segment of the fan, that vocal minority, as we say, is going to be louder than I believe. But 6 years later, I know the world hasn't changed much, but the movement and the protest that Colin Kaepernick started has spread. It's been co-opted in many respects to where it's like, do you mean to tell me that if somebody were to bring in Colin Kaepernick for a workout, Michael, or even sign him as a backup, which he says he's willing to be, is that any worse than the backlash the Browns just got for signing Deshaun Watson to a fully guaranteed $230 million contract? Is that any worse? Would that be any worse than the backlash that the Commanders have gotten? And the reason I'm asking that rhetorically, Michael, because I believe that the fan base has become convenient cover. It ain't about the fans, it's about friends and family. It's about the friends and family. It is about these owners showing their true colors and the fact that this is personal and not business, because it makes bottom line business and football business sense to bring in Colin Kaepernick for a workout, if not sign him. It's personal because they want to continue to blackball him or whiteball him if you prefer. They got an axe to grind with him. This is about not wanting to explain themselves to their inner circle, which clearly lacks diversity in terms of race, ethnicity, and diversity of thought. They don't want to have to explain to their friends and their families and their country club buddies why they went and signed the troublemaker, why they didn't continue to make an example out of him, even though so many others have followed his lead in the years since. So the idea that the fans are going to be in uproar, they're going to boycott your team, and you're going to lose money, that ain't got nothing to do with it. He just debunked that, did he not?
Yeah, I mean, it's not about the fans, and I'm going to take it further. It's not just the owners, Mike. Not just the owners, general managers, and his coaches. Because at some point, somebody who wants Colin Kaepernick on the team, really, truly wants him on the team, is looking for a quarterback and looking to save their job, is willing to really push for any kind of option, the best option available. We're going to see it when we're out in Vegas, when we're out there for the draft. There are going to be some teams who reach for quarterbacks because they're down to their last option. Some people, like Matt Rule, have their jobs on the line. So they will reach for a quarterback in the draft. Matt Rule and Carolina already reached for Cam Newton, brought him back second time around after failing. So teams really are always looking for a quarterback.
So what does that tell you? What does that tell you?
Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me?
You good? Yeah. Why you lose? Yeah, you good?
Yeah, just audio changed a little bit, but that's all right.
What does that tell you?
What does that tell you? What does it tell you? That it's an excuse not to bring in Colin Kaepernick because he actually stood up for racial justice.
I'm saying, what does that tell you about? No, I'm saying, what does that tell you in terms of the? I would venture to say, tell me if you agree with this. I think there are coaches who wouldn't mind bringing him in for a workout or potentially signing him, looking at what they have in their quarterback room already. I think there are coaches who wouldn't mind. I think they just know that it's a lost cause with their bosses.
I don't know. I would like to see that. I'd like to hear that even after a coach gets dismissed. I'd like to hear that off the record. I'd like to hear some whispers about that. Hey, I wanted to bring in Colin Kaepernick Or,
Right.
hey, sources say this guy wanted to bring
you need
him
a Mike
in,
Malarkey. You need a Mike
was
Malarkey
yeah.
to do it on a podcast.
Give me some of that.
Yeah.
Give me some of that. Because short of that, I'm putting them all in the same category. And that
fair.
may be unfair, but give me a reason.
No, it is
reason
fair. It is.
to think differently.
It is. Yeah.
And so I feel for Colin Kaepernick in this sense. He's probably not going to get an opportunity. And if he does get an opportunity, it will be so late. And maybe it's in 2 years or 3 years. It will be so late that the line, well, he just can't play anymore, will actually be true.
Well, that was the whole point to get to this point. What is he? What is he? 35? He's not 35. How old is he now? He can't be that old now.
Well, I mean,
I should know this. But he's been out of the league for 5 years, 6 seasons.
He's been out of the league for
Yeah, no, actually, I got it right here. Colin Kaepernick is 34. Okay, I wasn't wrong. He's 34.
Yeah.
He's been out of the league for 5-6 years. That's an excuse that I'm sure many of them have. Oh, well, he's been out of the game so long, the game's passed him by. He doesn't have it anymore. Well, how do you know if you don't bring him in for a workout? They just don't want to do it. But this is why I say it's good business. Because, remember I told you a million times, it pissed me off when Roger Goodell said, our fans want our players to stand. Yeah. This is before he came back and did a 180 and took one for the team and said, we were wrong. We should have listened to our players when he had no choice but to say that. But our fans, I was always like, well, which fans? Which fans are you talking about? And so now, if you were to bring in Colin Kaepernick, I'm shocked that nobody, even some PR person, some PR intern, in New York in the league office hasn't said, hey, you know what, guys? Since y'all being sued for racial discrimination by Brian Flores and others, what if we just sign Colin Kaepernick? Maybe that'll throw him off the scent a little bit. Because the end racism, and it takes all of us, that's kind of, they saw through that from day one. The lift every voice and sing, they saw through that from day one. These committees ain't cutting it. We need some good PR. Let's sign Colin Kaepernick. And a whole different fan base might just, despite the injustice that's already been done to this man, a whole different fan base might embrace this game and this league in a way that they haven't in the last 5 or 6 years, or the way they haven't at all before. Imagine the goodwill we could garner by I don't know, doing the right thing. What a concept.
Goodwill, but then the counter to that is goodwill for some, and then others say I'm done with the NFL because the NFL has embraced.
They laid the dollar short. Yeah.
You know how the talking points go. But I would say also for Colin Kaepernick, who gave a great interview to the I Am Athlete podcast, great interview. He said NFL is supposed to be a meritocracy. It's supposed to be, but what it actually is a selective meritocracy. So there are certain things that are unacceptable depending on who you are. If you are the 51st guy on the roster and you're very disrespectful to women, or if you are just what we would consider just incorrigible when it comes to crime, then you're not going to be on the roster. But if you're in the top 10 or top 15 on the roster, they'll make an excuse for it. If you're a great quarterback and you decide to take a knee, sure, you can stay in the league. If you're somebody like Colin Kaepernick, who was on a bad team and was like a borderline starter for that bad team, it will cost you. So we go back and forth on this meritocracy when it comes to coaches. If you do everything you're supposed to do, if you jump through all the hoops and you have everything you're supposed to on your CV, on your resume, you're supposed to get an opportunity, and it's supposed to be an even playing field for you. But we know that that's not true. So it's a selective meritocracy, and he's finding that out. And they are choosing in this selective meritocracy to keep him out of the club. And I'm afraid that he's going to be out of the club for.
I'm not holding my breath when 45 got up at I'll never forget it. This would have been 20. I want to say 2017. I feel like it was 2017. 45 got up in Alabama and said, fire that son of a bitch. Get him off the field. They take a knee. I was like, he's done. I was like, he'll never play again. And I haven't wavered from that, despite organized, some would call them sham workouts, despite lip service from people like Pete Carroll. I've never gotten my hopes up that Colin Kaepernick would ever get a shot in the NFL again. God bless him for not giving up on his passion and his dream, as he talked about. And not that he would be giving up on himself, he'd be giving up on them to come around to doing the right thing. Having said that, though, it's still nonetheless puzzling because you just talked about the draft, Michael. Some teams, with all due respect to the quarterback prospects in this class, one of whom we hope to talk to later in the show, some team is going to reach for a quarterback because there's still, despite all the young stud quarterbacks in this league, there's still a dearth of quality starting quarterbacks. There are still coaches like a Matt Rule that you referenced earlier, whose jobs are going to be dependent on whether they have a good quarterback or not. And they're going to expend premium draft capital on a quarterback. Or, in other cases, they're going to go and trade premium draft capital and players, as the case may be, for a quarterback. And then give that quarterback hundreds of millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, $100 million, whatever it is, in order to have that guy long term. They don't really need a young one, they want a cheap one. Here's a guy saying, just bring me in for a workout. Let me compete. I don't want nobody to give me nothing, open up the door and I'll get it myself. Just let him compete. Right. But like I said before, the problem is, I think they're really scared of looking bad because he might look a little too good. But if I'm an owner and I'm actually, Michael, this will ring a bell, Michael. I'll land it with this. This will ring a bell. If I'm an owner and I actually want to win, I'm okay. I'm okay with looking bad. Yeah. I'm okay with looking bad because we shut him out for the last 5-6 seasons. But now I got a inexpensive, proven commodity versus somebody coming out of college that's a projection.
Yeah, well, look, don't we all know it by now? I mean, is anybody buying the talking points on Colin Kaepernick? Don't we know why he's not in the league? Isn't it obvious?
Oh, yeah. Oh, of course. I'm just wondering with the passage of – it's been obvious, but with the passage of time, I just wonder why somebody hasn't mustered up the courage and the common sense to say, wait a second, this could make sense. Dollars and cents.
That's true. That's true. But how about this? Is there – and the responsibility is not the word I'm looking for because – all right, NFL media didn't create the Colin Kaepernick situation, but would there be a little bit of pressure if you have NFL insiders and NFL commentators and NFL people constantly bringing up Colin Kaepernick, constantly, writing about it, tweeting about it, going on their whatever platform you have, podcasting about it, saying, "Wow, can you believe it?" And you have a count. It's been X amount of days, 1,200 days since Colin Kaepernick last played in the NFL. Yeah, I mean, but is that something that needs to will that create more pressure depending on who it is? For example, I'm not
like us. Trust me, I'm not, no, but like us, it's like it's white noise coming from us at this point for them.
Yeah, it is. But how about people with a little more juice? For example, Peyton Manning does his game cast, whatever, with his brother. Why not bring him on? Why not, Peyton Manning and Eli Manning, bring on Colin Kaepernick as a guest on ESPN and say, hey, you're out of football and we think you should be in the league. Okay, like what are you thinking? What are you seeing here? How, talk about the game, talk about the issues, just like what they do with everybody else. They brought on celebrities. They brought on athletes, non-athletes. So why not?
To push their agenda or promote their product? No question.
Well, and I'm not, and I have to be clear. I'm not saying, well, they could solve this problem. I know they didn't create the problem.
Sure.
But if you have people with a higher, the highest profile in sport, when they do Monday Night Football, when they do Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, I'm close to home now. I'm getting close.
When it comes to coaches, what we've talked about, but just in general when it comes to racism, or as the case may be when it comes to sexism and misogyny and patriarchy, it takes men to dismantle that system. Be a broken record and say it takes white people to do this. I thought where you were going to go when you brought up Peyton Manning is just like, and I'll just go across the spectrum. Just like Tom Brady has all this personnel authority. Just like Aaron Rodgers demanded all this personnel authority and say when it comes to the roster. Just like Russell Wilson wanted more say in Seattle. All of these quarterbacks controlling their own destiny and can recruit players. And, you know, Derek Carr just got his boy, Devontae Adams. You're an extension of management at the quarterback position. White quarterbacks, racism ain't going to end until it becomes white people's problem, which is counterintuitive because they benefit from this systemic racism. So, but nonetheless, if a white franchise quarterback decided, hey, I want Colin Kaepernick in my quarterback room, I think a team would have to probably listen, more so than even mainstream white media pushing it. It's funny you said that though, Michael, too, because, you know, I don't want to ignore Colin Kaepernick because we know what it is. Like, right. We know he's not going to, like, we're resigned to the fact that he's not going to get another job. Again, God bless him for not being resigned to that. But we're resigned that he's not going to get another job in the NFL. But I think you're right. It's like, that's what they want us to do, is just turn the page and forget about him and not keep talking about it and not keep applying pressure. So whatever little pressure this little show could apply, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do it today. You know, because he talked to I Am Athlete and there is a news value to it. But as time has passed, it has kind of receded from the front pages.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of issues recede from the front pages.
And you asked a great question.
We're gonna move on to the next thing.
You asked a great question, and it's a question that we can continue to go back to and wrestle with, because the answers will change. Well, the answer may change a little bit, but there are different layers to this question you asked. And you asked it at the Super Bowl. Hey, are we part of the problem? Are we part of the problem? There's different contexts. Hey, this is in the NFL. We're talking about these NFL issues, yet we're here hyping up the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And is that part of the issue? And we talked to
Still
Professor Eddie
buying
Glow
Sal's
about
famous pizza.
Yeah. And Professor Glow was like, hey, if you're not there, if you guys aren't there, they'll bring in somebody else, and they may not take it to the level that you're taking it to. So you're not really solving the problem by stepping away. You're doing your part. I just wonder if, you know, as not just media, but fans too. You know, that those numbers, as he said, with the B, those B's keep going up. At one point, it was 10 billion. It was 12, 14, 16 billion. Salary cap goes up. Broadcasters are getting more money. It costs more to get NFL rights. All these numbers are going up. Fans are flocking. Will fans say, wait a minute, hey, I can do both. I can enjoy football, but also criticize the league for not having a worthy player in the league?
Or just to be broader, the money that they fear, that they supposedly, allegedly, fear that they would lose. But bringing back, again, Colin Kaepernick long ceased being the only person. He started a movement, but he's not the only member of that movement standing up against police brutality and racial injustice. But let's say, by him being the face of it, there would be backlash and sponsors would leave, and heaven forbid, some fans would turn away forever, right? What if the reverse were true? I know there are a lot of people, specifically black people in this country, who do not F with the NFL ever since they blackballed Colin Kaepernick. If more did that, I'm not going to put it on black people to solve the problem like you just said, but if more people kept their dollars and their support, their patronage from the NFL, and make them feel those same side effects that they would feel if they sign them, or they think they would feel. Or conversely, what about the boom that will come to their business if they sign them? Imagine that. Imagine how many people would come and embrace the NFL. But it's too much like right. It makes too much sense.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.